Hare Krishna. His grace
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our revered speaker for today, His Grace SRIVAS VANACARI. And all glories to the assembled Vaishnava devotees. We thank you all for being here today, as always. Materially speaking, today is the Independence Day of the United States. So today is a holiday. So people are having fun today, and it's going to be quite hot. Well, we are here to seek our independence from material nature, that we belong to Krishna. So that is why we've gathered here today. So Prabhuji, you may take over while we put the verse on the screen.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Narayana namaskritya narashaiva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamandirayat nashtaprayasva bhadresu nityam bhagavatam sevaya bhagavate uttamasloke bhakti bhavati naistiki. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. So today we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, entitled Questions by Vidura. And today we are treating text 19, which is on the screen. I go through the verse. Gam paryatam media vivikta vritihi sad pluto daha sayano vadutaha alakshita swai avaduta visho vratani chare harito shanani. Gam paryatam media vivikta vritihi Sada Pluto da sayana vadutaha alakshita swai avaduta visho vratani chare harito shanani. Gam paryatam medya vivikna vritihi sada Pluto da sayano vadutaha alakshita swai avatuta visho vratani chare haritu shanani. Now word for word translation. Gam, earth, paryantam, traversing, media, pure, vivikta vritihi, independent, occupation, for living, sadaha, always, aplutaha, sanctified, adaha, on the earth, shayanaha, lying, avadutaha, without dressing, into brackets, of the hair, etc. Alakshitaha, without being seen. Swai, by his relatives. Avaduta veshaha, dressed like a mendicant. Vratani, vows. Chere, performed. Hari toshanani, that please the Lord. Translation. While so traversing the earth, He simply performed duties to please the Supreme Lord Hari. His occupation was pure and independent. He was constantly sanctified by taking his bath in holy places, although he was in the dress of a mendicant and had no hairdressing nor a bed on which to lie. Thus, he was always unseen by his various relatives. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The first and foremost duty of a pilgrim is to satisfy the Supreme Lord Hari. While traveling as a pilgrim, one should not be worried about pleasing society. There is no need to depend on social formalities or occupation or dress. One should remain always absorbed in the function of pleasing the Lord. Thus, sanctified by thought and action, one is able to realize the Supreme Lord by the process of a pilgrim's journey. Amagyanatimiridasya gyanan janashalakaya chakshuram militam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuktapadakammalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahogana Ragnastam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Iti Namine Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Ashri Tatmane Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tetri Iti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvise Sashunyavadi Pasachade Satarini Vanchakalpatarvyascha Kripasindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namini Gauratvize Namaha Nityanando Vatutendo Ruvasuda Pranavalabaha Janaviri Jivita Patir Krishna Prema Prabhu Padmavati Sutta Srimam Sachirananda Purvajaha Bhavom Mata Jagatrakta Rakta Gora Kele Varaha Advaitam Harina Dvaitaracharyam Bhakti Shamshanat Bhaktavataram Itam Sham Advaita Acharya Shraye Panchatattvanakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Nama Pankajanabaya Nama Pankajamaline Nama Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajagraye Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagaritaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopita Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surato Pango Mama Mandir Gatima Sarvasva Padam Bujo Radha Mandana Mohano Divya Vindaranya Kalpadrumada Srimad Radhagara Simhastanastau Srila Govinda Devo Pristhyalibi Sevya Manusmarami Shrimamra Sarasarambi Vamsivata Tatastita Karusan Venuswanai Gopi Gopinata Sriyestunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavanishwari Brishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Devi Krishnamai Prokta Radhika Paradevata Sarvan Lakshmi Mai Sarvam Kanti Samohini Paraha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Sivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So translation again. While traversing the earth, he simply performed duties to please the Supreme Lord Hari. His occupation was pure and independent. He was constantly sanctified by taking his bath in holy places. Although he was in the dress of a mendicant and had no hairdressing nor a bed on which to lie, thus he was always unseen by his various relatives. Mukam karoti vachalam pangumla gayate grim, yat kripata mahanvande, Shri Guru Dina Taranam, Paramanam Mahadavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram, Akanda Mandalakaram Vyapta Yinachara Charam, Tatpadam Dashitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So everyone is welcome to this today's section of Srimad Bhagavatam discussion on questions by Vindura. So Vindura is on pilgrimage, and the purpose of his pilgrimage is to please the Supreme Lord Hari. Actually, that is the function of the living entity. The eternal function of the living entity is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this verse is amplifying that. So before we proceed to discuss this verse, we seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis on the platform so that we can say something which is essential for our purification and maybe beneficial for the audience. For without the mercy of the Vaishnavas, we would not have this wonderful opportunity to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. A few days ago, I was speaking in Mira Road temple, one of the temples in Bombay. Mira Road is where Bhaktivedanta Hospital is. And close by is the Mira Road Girirari Sri Radha Girirari Temple. So normally when I have anything to do with the hospital, I stay at that temple because it's just a walking distance, less than 2-3 minutes across actually. So on Tuesday, I was leaving there and I was asked to speak about the glories of Srila Prabhupada. And I was mentioning to the devotees that actually all of us, we have to be very, very grateful to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Because Srila Prabhupada had not gone west. Srila Prabhupada had remained in India as many of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas did. This movement would not have been known throughout the world, and all of us would have been excluded from the practice of Krishna consciousness. So that singular act of Srila Prabhupada, under the order of his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, that he should preach the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the English-speaking world, and also the order that if he has money, he should print books. Srila Prabhupada took those instructions to heart, and he dreamed about it, he thought about it, he planned about it, and eventually he executed it. I mentioned to them that before Srila Prabhupada embarked on his journey to America, Lord Krishna demonstrated to Srila Prabhupada his keen interest in his expanding this movement. Lord Krishna actually empowered Srila Prabhupada in so many ways to make him eligible to execute this mission. And so all these temples we have today, hundreds of temples, schools, projects, vegetarian restaurants, yoga centers, numbering about 950 establishments, is all coming from the singular effort of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And now the whole world have access to these Vedic literatures that were hidden in the Sanskrit language, and only very few Sanskrit scholars could have access to these books. Srila Prabhupada has broken all those jinx. He has thrown open this very, very important knowledge. And as a result, today, in every city, in every corner of the world, Srimad Bhagavatam is being discussed. Srimad Bhagavad Gita is being discussed. The glories of the holy names are being discussed. And devotees are getting more and more involved and excited about this process of Krishna consciousness. So Vidura is on pilgrimage. He's touring the whole of Bharatvaras. And what was the mission? His mission was to please the Supreme Lord Hari. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada toured the whole world. He toured the whole world. He cycled the whole globe. What was his mission? His mission was to please the Supreme Lord Hari. So we can see that when the devotees of the Lord, when they travel, when they embark on any activity, the goal is one. And what is the goal? The goal is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the function of the living entity. The living entity actually has one function, and that function is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is our main function. There is no other important function. And so those who are in the spiritual world, those who are called Nitya Siddhas, they have no other function except to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only those living entities who are in the material sphere, the material world, they are thinking that they have some other functions that are more important than that original function of service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is why there is so much complication. That is why there is so much suffering. That is why there's so much problem in the world today, simply because everyone is thinking, I have some more important function than that function of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, of pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, the first and foremost duty of a pilgrim is to satisfy the Supreme Lord Hari. Actually, it's not only the duty of a pilgrim, it's the duty of every living entity. The duty of every living entity is to satisfy Lord Sri Hari. Sriyam Acharananam. Sriyam Acharananam means the ultimate goal of life is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the ultimate goal of life, to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And anyone who is wise, he would do just that. That is a sign of wisdom. That is a sign of intelligence. One who is connected to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is ready to sacrifice everything for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is intelligence. In fact, I read one verse from the Quran, and I was so excited. Prophet Muhammad, peace unto him, said, he defines who is a wise man. He says that a wise man is that person who places death in front of him. And he says, because if we place death in front of us, seeing death every moment, and knowing that death will happen any moment, what do? We surrender to God. We surrender to Allah. So Prophet Muhammad says that the wisest person, the most intelligent person among human beings is that person who places death in front of himself and he sees death every moment, which reminds him of his function as a servant of the Supreme Lord. And therefore, he will not deviate his attention to anything else except to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when I read that from the Quran, in fact, I saluted Prophet Muhammad for such a statement. So the function of the living entity is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And whatever is an obstacle to this function must be done away with. The mother of the 5 Pandavas is Kunti Devi. In the first canto, 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Kunti Devi offers such wonderful prayers to Lord Krishna when Krishna was leaving Hastinapur after the battle of Kurukshetra, when Krishna had installed Yudhishthira Maharaj as the king, the emperor of the world. Krishna was prepared to leave Hastinapur back to his kingdom, Dwaraka Puri. And Kunti Devi began to offer prayers to Lord Krishna. And you'll be surprised, one of the prayers that Queen Kunti offered is heart-rending, is heart-touching. Twayi me nanya vishaya matir madhupate sakrit ratim udwavahat ada gangavehum udavatihi. He said, "Oh Lord Madhu, as the Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else." In fact, Kunti Devi told Lord Krishna to cut his relationship with the Vrishnis and with the Kurus or the Pandavas. And the purpose of Prabhupada explained that why should Kunti Devi ask the Lord to cut his relationship with the Vrishnis? The Vrishnis are Krishna's people. The Vrishnis and the Yadavas, they are all Krishna's people. And the Pandavas, the Kurus, they are also important personalities. So why is Mother Kunti asking the Lord to cut away his relationship with all these wonderful groups of people? And Srila Prabhupada explains that actually Kunti was viewing it from a material point of view. He's speaking in terms of material relationship because the Vrishnis are devotees, the Pandavas are devotees. So why should Mother Kunti want to be detached or cut off from them? But he was talking in terms of the material relationship. He considers himself the material daughter of the Vrishnis and the material mother of the Pandavas. Therefore, he wanted that identity to be taken away. He wanted to be seen and understood as a servant of Lord Krishna. That is her desire. She doesn't want to identify with anything else except service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Kunti's prayer points to the fact that the function of the living entity, the supreme function of the living entity, is service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Savaim pum shaparo darmo yato bacteria doxaje. The supreme occupation of all living entities is service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when that service is not materially motivated, it becomes a source of satisfaction for a living entity. When service is motivated, it cannot bring satisfaction. It may bring some little satisfaction, but it will not bring total satisfaction. So service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is what will bring complete satisfaction to the living entity. So therefore, Kunkunti is praying, my dear Lord, cut my relationship with the Vrishnis, cut my relationship with the Pandavas, the Kurus. I only want to be connected to you. So it says that just as the Ganges River, the waters of the Ganges flows to the sea without any hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. So the prayer for pure devotional service is important. We have to meditate. We have to think about something. In order to achieve something, we must make it our program. If you want to be a rich man, you must think like a rich man. You must act like a rich man. You must do things the way rich people do things in order to be a rich man. You cannot be a rich man by sleeping in the gutter. You cannot be a rich man by doing things that rich men don't do. To be a rich man, you must perform activities that will bring you riches. So similarly, if we want to experience pure devotional service, if we want to experience the loving devotion of the Lord, we must begin to think about it, plan about it, and act on it. Then the result will manifest in our lives. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his prayers in the Antya-lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, if you go to the 20th chapter, it is entitled the Shishastikam Prayers. If you read through that 20th chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya-lila, you would see the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was always in a very prayerful mood. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not different from Krishna. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he revealed to Ramananda Raya that he is Radha and Krishna combined. He revealed, and he told him, do not tell anybody. Just as he also revealed his Sadbhuja form, the six-armed form, to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and said, keep it to yourself. He is the Supreme Lord himself. But when you read that chapter 20 of the Antya-lila, is only prayers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prayers. He's praying to Krishna for pure devotional service. Dana Jana Nahimogan Kavita Sundari Sudha Bhakti Deha More Krishna Kripa Kari. Lord Chaitanya is praying, my dear Lord Krishna, I do not want material wealth from you, nor do I want followers from you, nor do I want a beautiful wife from you, nor do I want any fruitive results from you. My only prayer is that by your costless mercy, please give me pure devotional service, life after life. This was the prayer he made after the fourth stanza of the Shikshastikam. Actually, there are many more prayers in that chapter, but 8 of them are selected as the principal prayers, and they are described as the Shikshastikam. But if you go through the chapter, you see there are many more prayers, but they are like subsidiaries. They are subsidiaries of these principal Shikshastikam prayers. So this prayer in particular is a subsidiary of the number 4 prayer, where Lord Chaitanya is saying that Janamna Sundarim Kavita Vajagarisa Kamaye Mama Janmani Swari Bhavata Bhaktir Ahaiti Titwai. Yes, a subsidiary of this prayer, where the Lord is saying, I do not desire material wealth, I do not desire materialistic followers, I do not desire a beautiful wife, I do not desire fleeting results. All I want from you, my dear Lord, is unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service. So the function of the living entity is devotional service. The eternal activity of the living entity is devotional service. And it's this devotional service that will satisfy the living entity, nothing else. And that is a fact. Nothing will satisfy the living entity. It will give us some temporary satisfaction. Whatever we consider very important will give us some temporary satisfaction. But again, we would need something else. And that is the experience of the material world. The experience of the material world is that we try one thing, it doesn't satisfy us. We try the next thing, it doesn't satisfy us. We try the third thing, the fourth thing, the fifth thing. We have tried many, many million things, yet we are not satisfied. Actually, Srila Prabhupada mentions that the 8,400,000 species are simply the desires of the living entity. These are the numerous desires of the living entity. There's an echo. And because of this desire, we are changing bodies. These bodies correspond to the different desires the living entity has. So material nature is giving us the opportunity to satisfy these 8,400,000 different desires. But guaranteed, the living entity will never ever be satisfied by going through these 8,400,000 species of life, or going through these 8,400,000 different desires. We keep trying different desires, but we remain unsatisfied. So our real business is how to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's our real business. And the sooner we realize that, the sooner we understand this, the sooner we adopt this, the sooner we accept this, the better for us. Otherwise, we'll continue wandering life after life, body after body, planet after planet, universe after universe. We'll continue wandering and wandering and wandering. We have wandered for millions of years, and we continue to wander because that eternal function of the living entity, Savam Pumsho Parod Harmo Yanto Bhaktira Doksaje, to serve the Supreme Lord to his satisfaction without any motivation, without any interruption, is lacking. And so we are not satisfied. So here, Srila Prabhupada says the first and foremost duty of a pilgrim is to satisfy the Supreme Lord Hari. So therefore, what is the purpose of going on pilgrimage? People go on pilgrimage like sightseeing. They just go see some temple, see some river, sometimes see some deity, and that's it. They think they have finished. But Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's Prabhupada says that is not a goal of pilgrimage. In fact, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur condemns pilgrimage in Kali Yuga. He said people go on pilgrimage for sightseeing. They don't go on pilgrimage to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They don't go on pilgrimage to learn devotional service. They don't go on pilgrimage to connect with the Lord. They simply go on pilgrimage for sense gratification. And so that is futile. It's a defeat. The purpose of going on pilgrimage is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada very, very clearly says here, the first and foremost duty of a pilgrim is to satisfy the Supreme Lord Hari. Therefore, further down this chapter, it is said, Tahasya prapana kila lo kapanam avasti tanam anushane swe artaya jatasya yadusu ajasya vartam sanke vikritaya tita kritehe. Oh, my dear friend, please therefore chant the glories of the Lord, who is meant to be glorified in the places of pilgrimage. He is unborn, yet he appears by his causeless mercy upon the surrounded rulers of all powers of the universe. Only for their interests did he appear in the family of his unalloyed devotees, like the Yadus. So the purpose of pilgrimage is to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Constantly remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Tirtha Kriti. The Lord is meant to be glorified. The Tirthas are meant to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is a story that once there was a meeting of all the holy places, and Braj, Vrindavan, did not attend the meeting. All the holy places, they had a meeting. But Brajadam, Vrindavan, did not attend the meeting. So they sent a query to Vrindavan. Why you didn't attend the meeting? All the holy places have come to meet, and you have refused to come. And Vrindavan humbly and nicely said that because I was very busy glorifying the son of Nanda Maharaj, I forgot to attend the meeting. I was absorbed in glorifying the beautiful son of Nanda Maharaj. I forgot the meeting. Then he said, then what is the purpose of that meeting? The purpose of that meeting is to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Tirtha Kriti. So, if your meeting, there was no glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I Vrindavan Dham. I didn't come to your meeting, and I'm absorbed in glorifying the activities of the son of Nanda Maharaj. I think my meeting was more important than your meeting. So the purpose of pilgrimage is to constantly remember the Supreme Lord. The purpose of pilgrimage is to constantly glorify the Supreme Lord. The purpose of pilgrimage is to remember the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this can only happen when we take shelter of the sadhus, of the devotees, of the exalted Vaishnavas who live in those places of pilgrimage. If we just visit holy places to see with our eyes, we will miss the purpose of pilgrimage. But that is what many people do in Kali Yuga. People travel from one place to another place just to see. But how much power do our eyes have to see transcendental objects? We are so accustomed to glorifying the illusory energy of the Lord. We are so accustomed to appreciating the display of Maya Shakti that we may not have that potency to appreciate spiritual items. Only under the guidance of a pure devotee, of a sadhu Vaishnav, that we can begin to understand the importance of holy places. Therefore, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur Prabhupada says that in Kali Yuga, people should not even bother going on pilgrimage because they simply go to see. But what is the power of their eyes? What can they see? Of course, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is not discouraging us from going on pilgrimage. What he's saying is we should not go on pilgrimage for sense gratification. We should go on pilgrimage under the tutelage, under the direction, under the guidance of pure devotees who have imbibed the purpose of pilgrimage. They can guide us and they can reveal the meaning of pilgrimage. They can reveal the holy places to us. Srila Prabhupada often told his disciples that Vrindavan has two natures. There is a thin layer of Maya in Vrindavan, a very thin layer of Maya that covers Vrindavan. And those who come to Vrindavan without any guidance, without any spiritual backing, they can only see nothing but death. They will see the death of Vrindavan. They will see the pigs of Vrindavan. They will see the dogs of Vrindavan. They will see the monkeys of Vrindavan. That's all that they see. They cannot see Krishna performing his Leela in Vrindavan because their vision is material. So he says, going to Vrindavan is not just a matter of buying a ticket or getting a visa. No. So going to Vrindavan means you must go with an advanced soul who understands Vrindavan, and such an advanced soul, he will reveal Vrindavan to you. If you just buy a ticket and go to Vrindavan, you'll be so confused. When you get to Vrindavan, you see a lot of dirty things, dirty gutters, dirty pigs, dirty monkeys, dirty dogs, everywhere, dead. You will begin to think, is it the Vrindavan we have heard so much about? Then you begin to think offensively. And what happens? You will not gain anything visiting Vrindavan. So Srila Prabhupada says, when you visit a holy place, make sure you go with somebody who understands that holy place, and he can reveal to you what the holy place stands for. He can actually reveal to you the purpose of that holy place. So, the purpose of visiting holy places is to satisfy the supreme personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada writes that while traveling as a pilgrim, one should not be worried about pleasing society. There is no need to depend on social formalities or occupation or dress. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu attempted to go to Vrindavan in the first instance, Mahaprabhu wanted to go to, he had a very strong desire to go to Vrindavan. Of course, he is Krishna himself. And over the period, so many things in Vrindavan were lost. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to revive Vrindavan for us in Kali Yuga. Otherwise, there was no Vrindavan. The time Mahaprabhu appeared, Vrindavan was completely covered. There was no Vrindavan. So Mahaprabhu's desire was to go to Vrindavan to re-establish the holy Dham. So he tried to go to Vrindavan a number of times, even actually when he took sannyas. When he took sannyas, he told Nityananda, take me to Vrindavan. But Nityananda was feeling that now that the Lord has taken sannyas, he cannot go back to his house. And if he just leaves Mayapur without seeing the devotees, it will be too much for them, especially the poor old lady Sachimata. So Nityananda thought, let me take Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Shantipur, Advaita Acharya's house. Let him stay there for a few days. And then he sent Chandrasekhar Acharya to go to Navadvip and inform all the devotees that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taken sannyas and he wants to leave this area completely. So I'm keeping him in Shantipur for a few days. Everybody should come and have their last darshan, especially Marasachi. He should come and take the last darshan of his dear son, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then Nityananda Prabhu put Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in a boat. Then he sent somebody also to Shantipur to tell Advaita Acharya that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taken sannyas and he's bringing him to his house to stay there for a few days. So he should get some new dress, new sannyas dresses, and wait for them at the banks of the Ganga. So this way, Nityananda Prabhu, he arranged for the last darshan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his sannyas vesha, sannyas dress. So as the boat was approaching Shantipur, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all of a sudden saw Advaita Acharya standing on the banks of the Ganga with saffron clothes in his hand. And because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was just thinking of Vrindavan, that's why he told Nityananda he wants to go to Vrindavan. His whole mood, his whole attention is Vrindavan. So when he saw Advaita Acharya standing on the banks of the river, he said, oh, Advaita Acharya, you two are in Vrindavan. And everybody began to laugh. Because they were not in Vrindavan, they were still in Navadvip. They were in Shantipur. Then Advaita Acharya said, yes, I'm in Vrindavan. Wherever you are, my dear Lord, that place is Vrindavan. So I'm in Vrindavan. Once you have come here, this place has transformed into Vrindavan. Then the Lord said that the two holy rivers, Advaita Acharya, the two holy rivers form the Ganga. They meet at Prayag. Yamuna coming from the west and Ganga coming from the north. They meet at Prayag. That's the Triveni. The Triveni is where the three holy rivers, they meet. Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. Of course, now you cannot see Saraswati. Saraswati has gone underground. But you can see Ganga and Yamuna. So, Advaita Acharya said, the western bank of Ganga is Yamuna, and the eastern bank of Ganga is Ganga. So, Vrindavan is right here. And by your presence, you have transformed this holy place into Vrindavan. So I'm in Vrindavan. Then it was only then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood the tricks of Nityananda Prabhu. He wanted to go to Vrindavan, but Nityananda Prabhu thought it wise that at least the devotees from Navadvip, they should come and have their last darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before he would leave Navadvip completely. So Chandrasekhar Acharya went to Navadvip, informed all the devotees, SRIVAS, Pandit, Sachi Mata, and all the great Murari Gupta, Mukunda Dutt, and all of them. He informed them, and they all dashed to Shantipur. So it was in Shantipur that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's goal of going to Vrindavan changed. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw his dear mother, he fell flat before the mother, offered obeisances to his mother, and begged his mother, my dear mother, please forgive me. I have become mad, and that is why I have done this. Only mad people do like this. You are an old lady. Your husband, Jagana Misra, is gone. Your first son, Vishwarup, is gone. I'm the only person you are depending upon. And I've also disappointed you by taking sannyas. So please forgive me. Please forgive me. But it's necessary. If I don't do this, the whole world will perish. So please, I'm sacrificing my little family of wife and mother for the entire world. So please forgive me. But one thing I want from you is, I want you to decide where you want me to stay. My desire is to go to Vrindavan. I want to go to Vrindavan, the land of Krishna. That is my goal. But at this juncture, I would want to hear from you where you want me to stay. So it was such a matter. The mother of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who told Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, now please, my dear son, if you go to Vrindavan, Vrindavan is too far away. I will not hear of you, and you will not hear of me. But if you go to Puri, Puri and Bengal are like two rooms in one house. People go to Puri every year for the Ratha Yatra. So at least they will carry news from Navadvip to Puri. You will hear about my activities, my well-being. And when they come back from Puri, they will also bring news about you. In this way, we can get a feedback how things are going. So my dear son, if you want to please me, better go to Puri, don't go to Vrindavan. So it was on this note that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to go to Puri. Initially, he had wanted to stay in Vrindavan, but on the request of his dear mother, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to make Puri his base. But the desire to go to Vrindavan was not gone. He had not given up that desire and was still there in his heart. He wanted to go to the land of Krishna. So he made the first attempt to go to Vrindavan. He announced to devotees, I'm going to Vrindavan. And what happened? Thousands of people were following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so That was the time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also decided to pass through the birthplace of Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. So when he arrived in Ramakeli, that's the place. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were born, Ramakeli. So when Lord Chaitanya arrived in Ramakeli with thousands of followers, the king who was ruling Bengal is Hussein Shah. Hussein Shah was a Muslim king, a governor who was ruling Bengal. The whole of Bengal was under his rule. The king was frightened to see so many people following a sannyasi. So Hussein Shah, he invited Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and he asked them, who is this sannyasi with thousands of followers? What is his mission? Of course, he glorified Lord Chaitanya. He said, when I look at him, he doesn't look like an ordinary person. He looks like an incarnation of the Lord himself. He's so beautiful. He's so serene. He's so divine. I've not seen any person like this. But please, give me proper information. Who is this personality that is attracting thousands and thousands of people? I've never seen somebody like this before. So, Rupa Goswami, he told the king, don't be afraid of him. He's just a sadhu. Because Rupa Goswami could understand the mind of the king, Hussein Shah. He was afraid. He was thinking that there's going to be a social revolution, that this saintly person may organize some revolution that would remove him from his seat of government. So the question is asked was a loaded question, and only Rupa Goswami could understand the heart of the king. He said, don't worry about this man. He's a saint. He is on his way to Vrindavan, and many people are following him to Vrindavan. That's why all these people are following. Don't worry about him. He's just a saint. So in this way, Rupa Goswami dissuaded the mind of Hussein Shah, because Hussein Shah, even though he's admiring Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he has also an ulterior intention. He has some bad intention. He was thinking that this man coming with this number of followers, he may stage a coup d'etat in my kingdom, so something must be done. So immediately Rupa Goswami dissuaded his mind. He said, don't worry, he's just a saintly man. He's going on the way to Vrindavan and people are following him. That's all. Then Rupa Goswami went to Mahaprabhu at night and told Mahaprabhu, you better leave this place. This crowd following you is not good. The king has some evil mind. And the Rupa Goswami told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you say you're going to Vrindavan? Why with such a big crowd? We don't go to holy places with a large crowd. So Rupa Goswami says, in the Mandya Lila of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says, Yara Sange Chale E Loka Loksha Koti Saha Vrindavana Yatrara E Nahi Pari Patihi. My dear Lord, you are going to Vrindavan with hundreds and thousands of people following you. And this is not a fitting way to go on pilgrimage. So Rupa Goswami, he told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that my dear Lord, you don't go to a holy place with thousands and thousands of people. Please, better go back to where you are coming from and reorganize yourself. Don't go. So the first attempt to go to Vrindavan failed because of the large crowds that were following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, as Prabhupada said in his purport, while traveling as a pilgrim, one should not be worried about pleasing society. One should not please society simply because he is on pilgrimage. Mahaprabhu, he wanted to please all these people by taking them to Vrindavan. But when he met Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, they advised against it. They said, no, my dear Lord, don't do this. You are simply attracting problems. If you want to go to Vrindavan, go silently, go alone, or with a few people. Don't go with a crowd, because this crowd, many of them are really not interested. They are just following for their own personal reasons. So please, find another time to go to Vrindavan. So Prabhupada writes that sometimes for business purposes, large crowds of men are taken to different places of pilgrimage and money is collected from them. This has become a lucrative business. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, expressing their opinion to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, disapproved this. When Lord Chaitanya visited Vrindavan, he went alone with one servant, Balabhadra. That was it. Eventually, when Lord Chaitanya went to Vrindavan, he went with only one servant, because that was the advice of Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, that you don't go to a holy place with a large crowd. Then you attract all kinds of people who are not serious, people who don't want Krishna consciousness. They will just follow the crowd. And so if you are considering societal etiquettes, people's opinions, if you are considering these things, your purpose of visiting the holy place will be lost. Then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Vrindavan, when finally he was in Vrindavan, he was staying at the Kaliya Ghat, not the Kaliya Ghat. He was staying at Akura Ghat. Akura Ghat. There are many ghats in Vrindavan. Kaliya Ghat is where Krishna danced on the head of Kaliya. Akura Ghat is where, when Akura was taking Krishna and Balaram out of Vrindavan, they revealed the spiritual world to Akura. When he went to take a bath in the lake, he saw Ananta Sage, he saw Mahavishnu, he saw the spiritual world, Krishna and Balaram. He saw Krishna and Balaram in the water. He came back to the chariot, they were sitting there. He goes back to the water, they're in the water. He was confused what to do. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying at Akura Ghat. And then it is described around that time, people, there was a rumor, there was a big rumor that Krishna had appeared in Vrindavan again. So everybody, they said at night, they could see Kaliya serpent with Krishna on top of the Kaliya serpent dancing in the Kaliya lake. So at night, crowds upon crowds were going to witness Krishna dancing on the hoods of Kaliya. And so the news spread in Vrindavan to the degree that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's servant, Balabhadra, also got influence. He heard people talking about Krishna has appeared in Vrindavan. Krishna is dancing on the head of Kaliya every night. He's dancing on the head of Kaliya. So everybody is going to at night to see Krishna dancing on the head of Kaliya. So Balabhadra wanted to leave Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and also go and have a darshan of Krishna dancing on the head of Kaliya. But fortunately, Mahaprabhu forbade him. Mahaprabhu said, don't go anywhere. Sit down here. Foolish people have been attracted by something else. What they're seeing is not Krishna, it's something else. Just wait, the results will come out. So the next day, a gentleman came from, early in the morning, he came from the Kaliya Ghat to Akura Ghat. And Mahaprabhu asked him, where are you coming from? He said, I'm coming from Kaliya Ghat. He said, oh, I heard Krishna has appeared Every night he's dancing on the Kaliya serpent. You also went to see? He said, yes, he went to see, but it's not true. That what they are considering the Kaliya serpent is actually a fisherman's boat. And the light they see, they consider it as the jewels on the Kaliya serpent's head is nothing but the lamp of the fisherman. And what they consider to be Krishna dancing on the head of Kaliya is actually the fisherman who is fishing. So there is no Kaliya, there is no Krishna. It's just a fisherman doing his business at night, trying to find something to eat, and people are gathering on the shore and they are celebrating that as Krishna dancing on the head of Kaliya. So he said, all those people are foolish people. Then he said, actually, Krishna has appeared in Vrindavan, but they have no eyes to see. Durahaite tahade ke lokerahaya brahmaha kaliyera sarira Krishna kariche natanahi. From a distance, people mistakenly think that they are seeing Krishna dancing on the body of the Kaliya serpent, but actually it's a fisherman who is doing his business of fishing. No kate Kaliya gyana dipe ratna janane jaliyera muda loka Krishna kari mane. These fools think that the boat is the Kaliya serpent and the torchlight the fisherman is carrying are the jewels on the heads of the hoods of Kaliya. People have mistaken the fisherman to be Krishna. That's what the man Mahaprabhu was interviewing. That's his statement. Then he concluded by saying, Vrindavane Krishna Aila se Satya Haya Krishna Krishnera Dekila Loka Iha Mitya Nayaha. He said, actually, Lord Krishna has returned to Vrindavan. That is the truth. And it is also true that people have seen him. And so Lord Chaitanya asked him, where is Krishna? He said, Kintu kahon Krishna deke kahon Brahma mane stanu purushe yachehe viparyata jane. He says, you, my dear Lord, you are none different from Krishna. You appear so beautiful. You appear so serene. You appear so divine. You are the Krishna who came 5,000 years ago. You have come again. But people's attention has been drawn to a fisherman fishing at night. Instead of them coming to Akura Ghat to have darshan of you, they are going at night to look at a fisherman. That is the misfortune in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, people are attracted to the most insignificant things. In Kali Yuga, people give importance to many insignificant things. In Kali Yuga, people, they give their attention to what does not matter. What matters is pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vrindavane hai ila tumi Krishna avatar, to madeki sarvaloka hai ila nishtaraha. You have appeared in Vrindavan as an incarnation of the Lord. Just by seeing you, everyone is liberated. Just by serving you, everyone is liberated. Just by coming close to you, having your darshan, everyone is liberated. But instead, they are going to watch a fisherman fishing at night, and they think that is Krishna dancing on the Kaliya serpent. That is a misfortune of people in Kali Yuga. Therefore, we have to take advantage of such great personalities like Srila Prabhupada and his followers who are providing the light in Kali Yuga. Srila Prabhupada provided such great light by giving us this Vedic knowledge that is meant to dissipate all the darkness that is keeping us in slavery, that is keeping us bound up by the ropes of Maya. Real independence, as Sahadev Prabhu has said in the beginning, real independence is not country independence. Real independence is freedom from the modes of material nature. Until one is freed from the modes of material nature, you are still a slave to your senses. You are still a slave to the material nature. You may pose yourself as very great, but so long as you are under the three modes of material nature, you are simply a slave. So, Srimad Bhagavatam says, Bhavat Vida Bhagavatas Tirita Bhuta Swayam Vibhu Tirti Kurvanti Tirtani Swantastena Gada Britaha. My dear Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified. Because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart, you turn all places into places of pilgrimage. This is the best definition we can give to Srila Prabhupada. This fits Srila Prabhupada, that Srila Prabhupada is the personification of holy places. He traveled around the world creating holy places. He empowered his devotees to also create holy places. All the temples we have across the world where the deities are installed and worshipped on a daily basis, these are all holy places where the Lord is glorified daily. And that is the contribution of His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada, to the entire human society, to the entire world. And if we follow Prabhupada's instructions, certainly we will come to understand the most important function of the living entity is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is described as Samsiddhi Haritoshanam. Samsiddhi Haritoshanam. Whatever we do, our meditation should be to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is actual success. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for this wonderful delivery of Krishna Katha. Lots of pastimes, lots of lessons to be learned, and probably there may be some doubts that may also need to be clarified. So, dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, realizations, you may indicate just like Govinda Prabhu just did by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute. So, Shri Govinda Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Sri Govinda Prabhu. Nice to see
Please
you
kindly.
on your chariot.
Thank you very, very much for everything. And thank you again and again for presenting such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Krishna Katha to us.
Hare Krishna.
This all we always yearning for. We are always hungry. We are eternally hungry for this food. of Krishna consciousness. And you've given us some today. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. It's Prabhupada's mercy, Gurudev's mercy.
And so, whenever a nice preparation of this nature is prepared, we taste it and we enjoy the taste. But sometimes we also like to find out what are the ingredients that makes such preparation come out so nicely like this.
Well,
And so, as a result of that, I have a question for you to help me understand some of these ingredients preparing this wonderful feast.
all right.
So my question is this: we understand that the great personalities don't glorify themselves.
Yeah.
That glorifies them by their wonderful activities.
Yes.
And so we see Lord Shiva, even though those who are profound of knowledge see him to be the supreme personality of Godhead, and so they worship him. People worship different, personalities like Brahma, Indra, Ganesh, and all that, because they see them as the supreme, but they themselves do not glorify themselves.
That's true.
So, talking of Krishna dancing on the head of Kaliya, Krishna always plays his flute and dances through the vibration of what he vibrates through his flute. So I'm wondering, who is Krishna glorifying? What makes him dance when he's playing his flute?
Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. It's a very esoteric question. Why Krishna blows the flute and then Krishna dances? We can say that Krishna's main activity is blowing the flute and dancing. That's Krishna's occupation. Srila Prabhupada explains that once some European philosopher, he visited India. He was trying to establish the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He had heard about all these different temples, all these different personalities, demigods, and so on. And he wanted to establish who is the real Supreme Lord. So he went visiting all the different temples in India. He went to Durga's temple. He saw Durga carrying so many weapons. He said, no, Durga cannot be supreme, because why is he carrying weapons? It means he has some duty to perform. If he has no duty to perform, why is he carrying some weapons? So he cannot be supreme. He went to the various temples of the various demigods, and in each demigod has some weapon. Now Shiva is having a trident, different things they have. And he could understand that, no, this is not supreme. If somebody is carrying some weapon, what is he going to do with the weapon? He must have some duty. Then he went to the Krishna temple, and he saw Krishna blowing the flute in his Tribanga form, blowing the flute, and in a dancing step, dancing mood. He said, of all the temples I've visited, I think this is the best. This personality has nothing to do except enjoying music and dancing. He has no duty. He has no job. His only duty is to blow sweet flute music and dance. He must be the supreme. So in this way, this European philosopher, he conjectured that all the other demigods, they're busy doing some assignment. That's why they're carrying different weapons. But Krishna does not carry any weapon. Krishna is simply blowing the flute and dancing. So Krishna blows the flute and dances. That is his main occupation. And why he does that is actually for the satisfaction of his devotees. Krishna blows the flute and dances for the satisfaction of his devotees. In the spiritual sky, devotees are hankering to hear the flute of Krishna. In the spiritual sky, devotees are hankering to dance with Krishna. In the spiritual sky, everyone is looking toward Krishna for satisfaction. And Krishna satisfies his devotees by the sweet flute music, and he satisfies the devotees by his natabara, expert dancing. In fact, there are some other spiritual groups. They also do what they call soul journey, soul travel. And the highest they go is to hear the flute of God. Then the highest, those who go very far, who really go very, very far in their spiritual advancement, their goal is to hear the flute of God. And they say that when you hear the flute, you become completely satisfied. You don't want to hear anything else. That is just to let you see, understand the importance of this flute. The flute of Krishna is the sinusoid, is the attraction. It is the source of satisfaction of all living entities in the spiritual world. Srila Prabhupada says, Srimati Radharani is always dancing. If you look at Radharani, she's in a dancing mood. And when I say dancing, she's dancing to the flute of Krishna. Krishna is playing the flute to please Srimati Radharani. And Srimati Radharani is always in a dancing mood. And Prabhupada said, the day Radharani will stop dancing, everything comes to an end. So Krishna constantly plays the flute to please his devotees, to keep Srimati Radharani dancing, to keep the gopis dancing, to keep everybody dancing. It's actually meant to give everybody pleasure. Once Srila Prabhupada was chanting his japa in Vrindavan, the days when he was preparing to go to America, around 1963-64, Prabhupada was living at the Radha Damodara temple. And Prabhupada, even though he was writing, but he used to chant 64 rounds every day, because that's the Gaudiya Math standard Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave to his disciples. When you take Diksha, you must chant 64 rounds every day. If you don't, he says you're not a human being. So, Srila Prabhupada, despite his writing, his busy schedule of writing, Srila Prabhupada would chant 64 rounds every day. And sometimes he will chant till midnight to make sure that he finishes his 64 rounds. So one day, Srila Prabhupada was chanting his rounds past 12 midnight, getting to 1 o'clock in Vrindavan. And then all of a sudden, Srila Prabhupada had many dogs. In Vrindavan, there are plenty of dogs, there are plenty of monkeys, there are plenty of hawks, pigs. You can't count them. So Prabhupada had many dogs barking at the same time, a group of dogs barking very loudly. And Prabhupada was chanting his rounds. And then all of a sudden, the dogs, they stopped barking. And Prabhupada was still chanting his rounds. And then he heard a very sweet flute music coming from Vamsivad. Vamsivad is where Krishna used to dance with the gopis. He heard that sweet music, flute music coming from Vamsivad. And Prabhupada said, when he heard that flute, all his spiritual desires were fulfilled. He understood Krishna was performing his rasa dance. He was inviting the gopis to the rasa dance, and Krishna allowed him to hear that transcendental sound vibration of Krishna's flute. And he said, when he heard that flute, all his spiritual desires were fulfilled. So Krishna blows the flute for the satisfaction of his devotees. He blows the flute to rejuvenate, to give excitement, to inspire the devotees, to make the devotees happy. When Lord Shiva heard the flute of Krishna, when Krishna was arranging to have the rasa dance with the gopis in Vrindavan, Krishna was blowing the flute, and Lord Shiva heard the flute from Kailash. Lord Shiva's meditation broke. Lord Shiva gave up his wife, Parvati. Lord Shiva gave up everything in Kailash, and he came running down to Vrindavan. And he went to the Rasa Stali, where the Rasa dance is taking place. Lord Shiva went there. He was so attracted to the flute music that he wanted to be part of it. But when he got to the gate of the Rasa dance, he was not allowed. He said, please, I beg you, I've come all the way from Kailash. I've given up everything in Kailash. I want to be part of this flute dancing program. And Vrinda Devi said, no, you can't enter here. This place is only for Krishna and the gopis. You're not a gopi. How can you enter here? You can enter here, disqualified. I can become a gopi. I want to be part of this sweet music. Anyway, any blessing you can give me to become a gopi, please do something. And Vrinda Devi said, all right, if you want to be a gopi, go to Manasa Ganga. Manasa Ganga is just at the foot of Govardhan. Go to Manasa Ganga, take a bath. When you take a bath in that Manasa Ganga, you will become a gopi. And now you can come back and you'll be allowed in. With the speed of mind, Lord Shiva dashed to Manasa Ganga. He took his bath. And as soon as he dipped himself into that water, his form changed. He was now a beautiful gopi. So he dashed back immediately. And Vrinda Devi said, yes, now you are qualified. You are no more a male. You're now a female. You can now enter and dance with Krishna. So he was allowed in. And as soon as Krishna saw this new gopi, Krishna began to give him all the attention. And the other gopis were wondering, but who is this new gopi? We don't know him. Where has he come from? Now he's attracting Krishna's attention so much like this. So they approach Krishna and say, Krishna, please tell us, this gopi is unknown to us. He's not part of us. Where does he come from? That you are giving him so much attention. And Krishna said, just look at the necklaces of this gopi and you know which gopi is this. And when they look at the necklace of the gopi, they saw they were snakes. So they understood this is Lord Shiva, who has now become a gopi to participate in this sweet dance. So they say, okay, Krishna, you can give him all the attention. Give him. The flute music is for the satisfaction of the devotees. And when you hear that music, to participate in this sweet dance, Hare Krishna. I hope I've tried to answer your question. Hare Krishna Govinda Prabhu.
Yes.
Is your question answered?
Yes. Yes. Answered, and thank you very, very, very much. I don't know if you can take us a little deeper. It's really, really satisfying. But if you can take us a little deeper, that there are many musicians, and the musicians play the instruments to back up their vocals, and sometimes they stop all the vocals and just do the instrumentals. But they do the instrumentals. They also do the instrumentals with kind of the instrument translates what they are thinking or what they are saying.
Yeah.
Otherwise, when you go to a royal palaces, they play drums, and they play drum, and those who understand the tone of the drums, they call it talking drums.
Yeah.
So the drum is playing, but it's actually talking.
Yes.
It's saying something, and those who understand the beat, they can understand what they are saying. So Krishna playing flute, and he dances through his own vibrations, and the gopis, especially Srimati Radharani, keep dancing and dancing and dancing. He must be understand what Krishna is talking about, what Krishna is saying through the flute. So can you please tell us this mind of Krishna? What is he saying? That is gendering every living entity. When he hears, he cannot resist.
Well, I don't know. What I can say is that you see the flute of Krishna, the music coming from the flute contains a lot. It contains a lot. Yes, that's true. In fact, some acharyas say that all this Vedic knowledge is coming from the music of the flute. And it is also mentioned that even when Brahma was initiated in the beginning of the universe, it was from the flute. Krishna initiated him through the flute. When Brahma had the word tapa, it actually came from the flute of Krishna, and Krishna initiated him into the second birth. He took his first birth from Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, and then Krishna initiated him to the second birth by the flute music. So the flute is supposed to contain all the Vedic literatures, the essence of every instruction, and the glories of the Lord himself. It contains everything we can imagine, that flute. But different devotees hear differently. Like Brahma, he heard it, and he understood it to be austerities. Other people hear it, it means something else. So we can just say that that flute music actually contains all information of the universe, of the creation, of everything you can think of. It is in that flute. And according to our realization, according to our spiritual level, we can pick that information from the flute. So for the gopis, when they hear the flute music, they can just They can just pick Krishna's glories. They can perceive Krishna's glories. Same way, Radharani, when she hears the flute, he can just see the unlimited glories of the Lord, the unlimited potencies of the Lord, and that makes her excited, and she dances. But it is not everybody who hears the flute that gets the same message. There are different messages, different contents that one is revealed to through the flute. So the flute contains everything. And by hearing the flute, one can become satisfied. One's spiritual desires can be fulfilled. So actually, Srila Prabhupada also said that even the Maha Mantra is coming from the flute. Yeah, it's coming from the flute. So he said if we chant the Maha Mantra very well, we can hear the flute music from that Maha Mantra. Yeah. So this is how far I can go. This is a very esoteric topic. Hare Krishna.
Haribo!
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
I think Dr. Hassan hand is up.
Yes, Dr. Hassan, please you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Dr. Hassan.
Please,
Always
can you
happy to have
accept
you.
my humble obeisances? All glory to Gurudev, all glory to Srila Prabhupada, and all glories to you.
All glories to
I'm
us.
so always my heart is fulfilled and full of joy to hear from you.
Well,
and
I'm a past mercy.
I still I still remember your dance movement and you are singing in Kirtan. Always I long for that. Maharaj, I have this question. I asked the other time, but there was no time to explain it a bit further. But I want to, if there's a possibility for you to explain it more further, concerning heaven.
Yeah.
It is said that if some devotees will go to heaven and have enjoyed themselves in the heaven, and they will come back to this material world. After enjoying themselves for some time, they will come back to this material world to continue their devotional service until they are qualified to go to spiritual world. I'm kind of, my question may sound a little bit childish or something, but I'm a bit confused. I want to be clear of that. For instance, for me, I'm from a Muslim background, and if Islam talk about heaven, it's a place which everything you desire. If you desire alcohol, you just, with your mind, it will come. If you desire the people who are going to heaven, they are going to have virgins and everything which is sense gratification in this material world. In the heavens, it's not sense gratification. If you desire all this, it will come. So my question is, why is Krishna take people to heaven to enjoy themselves? And instead of promoting them to the spiritual world, he has to bring them back to this material world. I'm saying this because if we look at this material world now, everything is always degrading, and even as a devotees, we are finding it very, very difficult to follow our devotional service.
Yeah.
So instead of coming back here to face all these difficulties again, why is Krishna did not promote those who go to heaven? Maybe they can continue their devotional service from heaven and go to the spiritual world. Yeah. And he has to bring them back. I'm kind of confused about that. So if you can help me to understand that.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, thank you. I'm always happy to see you too. It is said that the audience also play a role in the deliverance on delivery of the speaker. Then there's a verse in the 4th canto when the four Kumaras visited Prithu Maharaj in the sacrificial arena. Prithu Maharaj was glorifying the four Kumaras, and the four Kumaras were glorifying Prithu Maharaj. That's the nature of devotees. They always want to glorify other devotees. Such a beautiful exchange that the speaker is inspired by the audience, and the audience are inspired by the speaker. In the audience, they are very enthusiastic. In the audience, they are very attentive. In the audience, they are excited. They are ready to hear. It brings out the best from the speaker. So it's a dynamic in delivering speeches. The dynamics between the speaker and the audience is very important. If you come before a very receptive audience, one is inspired to go deeper. And if you come before an inattentive audience, one may not be inspired to go deeper. So thank you for your question. Your question is very inspiring. The choice is ours. Devotional service is not by force. You choose how much you want to render devotional service. But there are different rewards for the different degrees that we adopt. And that's why Krishna is saying Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajami aham. That as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. He said, every man is on my path. Everyone is on my path, but at different degrees. So going to heaven is our choice. And going to the Goloka Vrindavan is also our choice. Going to hell is our choice. Coming back to the earthly planet is our choice. Everything is our choice. Krishna has given us that opportunity to choose by giving us that tiny free will. So if you want to go back home, back to Godhead, then you should do what is expected to go back home, back to Godhead. If you don't, then you end up in heaven. Actually, Srila Prabhupada made a statement. He said that many of ISKCON devotees are going to go to heaven. When I read that, I was shocked. Prabhupada said like that many devotees are going to go to heaven because either they are doing devotional service mixed with material desires, or they are doing devotional service without carrying out the orders of the spiritual master. And so he says, if you do devotional service with a mixture of material aspirations, or you do devotional service without following the orders of the spiritual master, then your destination is heaven. You enjoy the pious credits you have performed through this execution of devotional service under the modes of material nature. But at the end of your credits, you have to come back. Of course, those who perform much more credit, they end up in the Tapalok, Mahalok, or Brahmalok. These are the topmost planets in the universe. Tapalok, Mahalok, and Brahmalok. if you have performed enough pious activities, enough austerities, enough, spiritual activity, but somehow you are not able to make it to the mark in order to take you back home, you take birth in these 3 upper planetary systems. When you attain to these 3 upper planetary systems, even though they are considered to be heavenly planets, you don't come back. You progress and progress and progress, and then you go back home. Though it will take a long, long time. You can only go back home when Brahma dies and Brahma is going back home. All of them, they go with Brahma. So you have to wait until the end of Brahma's life. That is for those who attain to Tapalok, Mahalok, and Brahmalok. But the rest who go to any of the heavenly planets, when you exhaust your spiritual life, your credit, your pious credits, you have to come back and start all over again. So that choice is ours. How much we want to practice Krishna consciousness, that is our choice. Nobody can choose for us. How many rounds you want to chant a day? Even though the Guru says chant 16 rounds, you can choose to chant 8. You can choose to chant 20. You can chant more. The choice is always ours. The Guru says, no alcohol, no illicit sex, no gambling, no meat eating. The choice is ours. We can follow all the principles or we can break some of the principles. The choice is ours. Rendering service, the choice is ours. You can choose to render some nice service for Krishna, for the devotees, and make a lot of spiritual progress. We can choose not to render any service. The choice is ours. At any moment, at every moment, the choice is always ours. It is not Krishna who is deciding where we should go or where we should not go. The choice is ours. So actually, we cannot blame Krishna. We have to blame ourselves. If we want to go back home, back to Godhead, then Krishna says, Man mana bhava bhakto mam yaji mam namaskuru. Become my devotee. Offer your obeisances unto me. Worship me. Chant my glories. And you will come to me. So we have to intensify that. That is the whole process of bhakti. To intensify our remembrance of Krishna, to intensify our becoming devotees, to intensify our service to Krishna, to intensify everything in Krishna consciousness. And the more we intensify these, the more Krishna will facilitate our going back home, back to Godhead. But if we don't intensify, we are still looking here and looking there, we are still attracted to so many things of this material world, then we are risking our lives. We may end up in heaven. And when you end up in heaven, you enjoy all your credits. You enjoy all the good things you've done. Definitely, you enjoy. But the problem is that at the end, when you exhaust your credits, just like savings, if you have $100,000 in the bank and you don't add anymore and you just keep taking, it will get to zero. And when it is zero, you go back for money, the bank will say, you have nothing, we can't give you anything. Because some banks may even give you some credit and you have to work and pay back. But the general principle is when your credit is finished, you cannot withdraw anymore. So whatever activities we are performing in this material world, we are creating credits. And those credits are going to be enjoyed by us. In fact, in Islam, Muhammad talks about the 7 heavens. Muhammad does not talk about only one heaven. He talks about 7 heavens. And in fact, it is said that when Angel Gabriel took Muhammad, he took him through the 1st heaven, 2nd heaven, 3rd heaven, 4th heaven. But when he got to the gate of the 7th heaven, Angel Gabriel said, I'm not qualified to enter here. You enter and meet Allah. I have no qualification. So Angel Gabriel stopped at the gate of the seventh heaven. We can consider that the spiritual world. So there are different grades of heaven, and higher than heaven is the spiritual realm, Vaikuntha, and even higher than Vaikuntha is Krishna Loka. So there are different grades, and according to your level of devotion, you are promoted to a particular spiritual planet. Or according to your pious credits, you are promoted to a particular heavenly planet. Or according to your level of sinful activities, you are degraded to a particular hellish planet. So the choice is ours. Krishna has given us the freedom, and every one of us must choose our destination. And that is why devotional service is very important. That by rendering devotional service seriously, by applying our lives seriously in this process, we are making a choice. We are making a very powerful choice, the spiritual world. So that is what we should all be thinking, how to actually make the best choice so that at the end of this life, we don't need to go to any heavenly planet. We should go back home, back to Godhead. That should be our strong desire. That should be our intention. Everything we want, we have to plan for it. We have to plan for it in this life. And devotional service means planning how to go back home, back to Godhead. I don't know whether I've answered your question, Dr. Hassan.
Yeah, Guru Maharaj, thank you so much. I'm so satisfied with the question. I was not expecting this in this way, but you have just cleared all my doubts. All my doubts, you have cleared them. So thank you so much. I'm very, 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 very grateful, Guru Maharaj.
We are all grateful to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada has enriched our lives. This is knowledge.
Thank you so much.
Where did we get it from? Thank you. We come from apart from this. Yeah, I think some more hands are up.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Shri Salika Prabhu.
Mighty Salika. You have a comment to make or a question to ask?
First, I want to offer my respectful obeisances. Thank you so much for
Hare Krishna. Nice to see you and hear your voice.
It is not ordinary. When we reach La Rupa Goswami's commentaries on especially his book Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, give a depth insights to one who has that capacity to be able to retell or tell Krishna stories. And the way, a manner in which you have, over time, speak of Krishna's pastimes tells a lot about your personality. We thank you so much. And we pray that
Gurudev, don't thank me. We should thank Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. He has turned a vulture into a swan. He has turned a crow into a swan. It's only by the mercy of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. I always tell the devotees, in India, devotees, they interview me, they ask me to give brahmacharya class, they ask me to do this, and they say, where do you get all these things from? I said, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. If not for Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, I would not be what I am. In fact, I had my plans. I had my material plans before I met Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. And Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj just stopped it. He said, stop it and become what I want you to become. And Maharaj, he just amazed me by his special mercy. I always say, I am a living example of Maharaj's mercy, because I never thought what I'm doing today, I could do it. And in fact, I will tell you one other thing, that when Marai passed away, when Bhakti Tita Marai passed away, we had his first anniversary celebration in Port Harcourt in 2006. I don't know whether you were there in Port Harcourt when we had the first anniversary. And that was a year's also celebration of Bhakti Tita Damodara Maharaj Sannyas acceptance.
Yeah, that was 2006.
2006, yes. So I was there in Port Harcourt. And then when we left Port Harcourt after the program, we were going back to Lagos. And Kamalaksha Prabhu approached me and said, Prabhu, would please come to Warri and spend some few days with us. That was your last project in Nigeria. Please, your presence will inspire all of us. Please come. At first, I was a bit reluctant, but later I said, okay, what am I rushing to Ghana to do? Let me just spend some few days in Warri. But actually, later I realized that it was Gurudev's mercy that Kamalasha Prabhu invited me. So I agreed to go. The first night, I slept in the Warri temple. I dreamed of Gurudev. And Gurudev, we were in a classroom with many students, and we were waiting for the teacher. And then at a distance, I saw somebody dressed in suit and coming towards the classroom. But I could identify the person by the way he was walking and by the suitcase he was carrying. You know, Gurudev had his special suitcase, his silver colored suitcase.
Yeah.
All through I've known Bhakti Tita Maharaj, from the day one till the end, he always carried a silver suitcase. He never carried any other color. So while we were sitting in the class, waiting for the teacher to come, it was a devotee class. I saw many devotees. I saw this personality coming. So I recognized, I said, the suitcase indicates the personality, and the way he's walking, that's Bhakti Tita Maharaj's steps. So I left the class and I ran to meet him. And lo and behold, when I got there, it was Bhakti Tita Maharaj in a three-piece suit with his briefcase. So I paid full dandavat to him, and I took the briefcase from him, and I followed him to the class. And we entered the class, and he was a teacher. He took his chalk, and he listed books: Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, Nectar of Devotion, Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction. And then he started saying that all of you in this class, you must study Srila Prabhupada's books very seriously. If you want to be relevant, in this ISKCON, in this world, you must study these books very seriously. He was emphasizing in the class. And I woke up, it was a dream in Warri. So at that time, I wasn't very much interested in studying, Srila Prabhupada's books. I was only into administration and things like that. So that dream was a direct instruction from Bhakti Tita Maharaj. Study Prabhupada's books. So 2006, 2007, I decided to go and do Bhakti Shastri on that instruction. So I can say today, when I reflect back to that very moment, that very day, when I saw Guru Maharaj in the dream, emphasizing that if you want to be relevant in this movement, you must study Srila Prabhupada's books. It's true to the letter. I was in Surat. I had some friend who come from Surat. He comes to Ghana and spends some time with the devotees. He came here in May. I was not around. I was in South Africa. And he missed me, so he dropped some gifts and left. So when I was in India, I also decided to go and visit him. He's from Surat. Unfortunately, when I got to Surat too, he was also there. His uncle was sick in South India. He had to go to take care of him. So it's like 1-1 draw. He came to Ghana, he missed me. I went to Surat, I missed him. But he arranged for me to stay at the temple. The temple has a beautiful guest house. So I stayed at the temple. And then the morning, I went there on Saturday night. So Sunday morning, the president said, Prabhu, can you lead my Gujarati Kirtan? I said, well, I can try. So he gave me the characters. I sang the Kirtan. At the end of the Kirtan, he came and said, Prabhu, if I had not asked you to lead a Kirtan, I would have made a very sad mistake. I said, this is the best Kirtan I've had. I said, well, you know where I'm coming from? I'm Bhakti Tita Maharaj's disciple. So a lion begets a lion. You don't expect a lion to beget a chicken. No. I'm Bhakti Tita Maharaj's disciple. Wherever Bhakti Tita Maharaj goes, he always makes everyone happy with his kirtan. So I'm just representing a little bit of that. Then he said, Prabhu, can you give us Bhagavatam class? I said, well, I will try. So 8 o'clock, I sat on the Vyasasan, and he said, our class does not go beyond 45 minutes. So by 8:45, you must end the class. I said, okay. The temple president's orders must be followed. So I will follow it. But the class went beyond 9 o'clock, and he was sitting in the class. He couldn't stop me. He couldn't stop me. He was enjoying the class. That he forgot the 8:45. And then after the class, he said, Prabhu, he said some things I can't say. But he said, Prabhu, you should stay here and give us more of these classes. So stay here and give us more classes. I said, well, I've not come to stay. I came to visit a friend. The friend is not even here. So Monday morning, I'm leaving for Mumbai. He said, okay, tomorrow morning, give the class before you leave. Then when I was leaving, he said, Prabhu, please come back and spend more time with us here. So I began to reflect on Gurudev's instruction in that dream, that if you want to be relevant, you must study Srila Prabhupada's books very seriously. That instruction is Gurudev's mercy. If he did not give me that instruction, maybe I wouldn't have taken to the study of Srila Prabhupada's books seriously. So whatever I have, whatever I am, and whatever I will be, I always think is Bhakti Tita Maharaj's mercy, nothing more. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, SRIVAS VANACARI, for taking out around this trip of empowerment by Gurudev. Yes, like Krishna Pad is exceptionally great, and there are so many stories to tell how he especially empower individual disciples of his.
Yes.
To do so many things. So we are all recipients of his mercy. So thank you so much. I had to join another meeting now, but my question is, but I'll still ask my question. I'll be listening to you while I'm just there. My question was in relation, a follow-up of what answers you gave to Dr. Zan.
Yeah.
And while you were giving class, in the middle of your class, at a point, you were emphasizing that if one wants to become a pure devotee, if one wants to become a devotee, he has to start by doing things like a devotee, talking like a devotee, acting like a devotee. And you expressed, and it catch my attention. And then when you are answering Dr. Zan's question, you emphasize in the importance of, even if we're not able to attain, referencing Srila Prabhupada's statements that many devotees will be attaining heavenly planet. You mentioned something also very important by explaining that at least one should continue, and if one is not able to, he can get into a heavenly planet, or he gets one of the Swaga Loka, which is Tapa Loka,
Mahaloka or Brahman Loka, yeah.
Brahman Loka. So my question is bordered around, despite knowing all of this, Yes, we may not be a pure devotee now. We don't have the capacity to act on the pure level of bhakti. But if someone is, after so many years, does not exhibit by his action, by his words, by his devotional attitude, develop qualities of devotional service, what could be the problem? And what do you think could be the solution to such a person's life?
That's a very deep question, and I need deep answers.
Thank you.
It's a deep question, deep answers. Anyway, I'll try. The problem and the solution. The problem is I can say is due to inattentiveness. In fact, everything comes from inattentiveness. Even in our japa, we can make great advancement in our japa if we are attentive. But if we are not attentive, we can chant, but we would not make much advancement. Once Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Chitta Maharaj, he told me, he emphasized on this attentiveness. I remember very clearly. He said, SRIVAS, whatever we do in devotional service, we must be attentive. If we are not attentive, then we will not make the needed progress. And he cited a number of examples. But from the Harinam Chintamani, it is said that inattentiveness is the root cause of all the problems in our japa. Offensive chanting, it arises from inattentive chanting. So inattentiveness is the cause of our spiritual stagnation. When we do things without attentiveness. In japa, we need to be attentive when we call the names of Krishna. We must hear all the syllables of the mantra. There are 16 words with 32 syllables. We must hear them clearly. If we are not hearing all the syllables clearly, it means we are inattentive. Similarly, when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we have to be attentive. We must take notes. We must read with a notebook and a pen and take notes of important words, important statements, important things that Prabhupada is saying. That is attentive reading. When we relate to devotees, we have to be attentive. When we relate to devotees and we are inattentive, we are likely to commit offenses, and that would mar our relationships. Everything we do in devotional service, you have to be attentive. You are a pujari, you are offering your arti, and you're not attentive, you commit offenses. So everything that we do in devotional service is centered around attentiveness. If we are not attentive, then there's a likelihood that we'll commit some offense. So one has to be very attentive in whatever we do. So inattentiveness is the cause of all the problems that we encounter in devotional service. We do things casually. We don't do things with a meditation that I am doing this to please Krishna, to please Guru, to please Vaishnavas. This is inattentiveness. If we are doing things thinking what I'm doing, I want to please the Guru, I want to please Krishna, I want to please the devotees, and you do it with that attentiveness, the results are great. They're great. But when we do things casually, the results are minimal. So everything we do in devotional service has to be done for a purpose. And that purpose is to please Krishna. Krishna Shilanam. Things must be done favorably for Krishna's satisfaction. Things must be done favorably for Guru satisfaction. Things must be done favorably for devotee satisfaction. Then Krishna sees your sincerity. Krishna sees your effort. Krishna will meet up with your effort. So the problem is inattentiveness in every field of devotional activity. And so the solution is attentiveness. If inattentiveness is creating the problem, then what do we have to arrest? We arrest inattentiveness. We become attentive. Everything we do, we must be attentive. In fact, Gurudev emphasized this. One-on-one, I was sitting with him in his room, and he said, SRIVAS, if you want to make advancement in Krishna consciousness, you must be attentive. In fact, what happened was that, I don't know whether Sahadev Prabhu remember the incident when I lost Gurudev's ticket. Gurudev asked me to go and renew his ticket or book his tickets for Sierra Leone and Liberia. And you know, normally when I go into town, because we are far away, I visit many Indians, I visit many places, I do many things at the same time. You can't come and go back, we are far away. So I do everything at once. So that day, when I left with Sarada was driving the car. We went out since morning, we came back at night. And when I got to the temple, I was ready to go and give Guru Maharaj his passport and his ticket. The ticket was nowhere to be found. Only the passport was in my bag. It was a shock. I don't know where I lost this ticket. And I could not go and tell Guru Maharaj that I've lost his ticket. So what I did was, at that time we arrived around 7 o'clock, Bhagavad Gita class had started, and Guru Maharaj was giving the class. That time it was in a wooden structure. Only the Guru Ashram was built at that time. And the classes were going on in a wooden structure, which became the school later. So the class was going on at the wooden structure, the temple hall there. So I went in, I paid obeisance. Guru Maharaj saw me, I paid obeisances, and I went out. And I told Saradas, I cannot find Guru Maharaj's ticket. I have to go back to town and look for it. Saradas said, what do you mean? We have to go back to town right now? I said, yes. We have to go back. He said, I've not eaten. We have just come back. I'm not eating. To go back to town, that's not possible. I said, just go and carry your prashadam. What is the problem? Carry your prashadam. You will eat when we get to town. So he went, took his prashadam. I didn't even bother about my prashadam. I was so disturbed that I've lost Guru Maharaj's ticket. So I was not thinking about food. So we left back to town. So Guru Maharaj saw me in the class, I paid obeisances, and I disappeared. So after the class, he didn't see me again. So he started asking devotees, where is SRIVAS? Where is SRIVAS? Where is SRIVAS? Nobody knew where I've gone. I went back to town, and I went to all the places. I couldn't find Guru Maharaj's ticket. I went to all the houses I went, we couldn't find a ticket. Not knowing, there was one supermarket near the airport. That's the last place we went. And I was trying to bring out something from the bag, and I think it dropped from the bag. I didn't see. So that's where, and the shop was closed. That was the last place I couldn't go. By the time we got back to town, it was 9 o'clock, thereabout, the shop was closed. So I said, okay, Sharadas, take your prasadam, go back to the temple. I can't let you perform this austerity. It's my fault, it's my mistake. You go back. I will go to the airline's office. I will stay there until morning. I'll just do japa at the airline's office until next morning. When they open the office, I will get a new ticket issued. then only I will come to the temple, because I cannot go and give Guru Maharaj his passport without his ticket. And he was to fly in the next 2 days or so. So I will go back to the office of the airlines, make sure that the tickets are issued, then I will come back to the temple. So Sanadas, you go back. Don't worry about me, just go back. So he went back with the car to the temple, and I stayed at the airport because the office of the airlines was just across the airport, airport residential area. So I stayed at the airport. I chanted there all day, all night until the next morning. And then I waited until it was 8 o'clock. I went to the office and I complained that I've misplaced the ticket. They went into the computer and they printed new sets of tickets for me. Then I had the guts to come back to media. I came back to media. So by the time I came back, it was Prasadam was over, classes were over. And then Guru Maharaj has seen Chanadas in the morning. He has asked him, he told him what happened. So I came back, Guru Maharaj was in his room. I went there, paid my obeisances, and I delivered his passport and his ticket to him. And he said, SRIVAS, what happened to you last night? Where did you go? I said, Guru Maharaj, please forgive me. I was careless. I don't know where your ticket dropped. I only got to this temple and I found out that the ticket was no more there. So I went looking for it and I couldn't find it. So I decided to stay in town and make sure that I get new tickets issued for you. That's why I stayed away. And Guru Maharaj said, that's not good. You put me in anxiety all night. I couldn't also sleep because I sent you out. Whatever happened, you should report to me. You didn't report to me. You decided to go and stay in town. And you kept me in anxiety. You think I'll be happy when you're in danger? And what is the ticket? You should have just come to explain to me and then you can rest. And the next day you go and do it. Why do you have to go and stay at the airport all night? I said, Guru Maharaj, I felt it was my mistake. And I don't need to come and bother you. So I just have to correct the mistake. That's why I did that. And well, besides that, it also gave me the opportunity to chant all night. Because if I were at the temple, I would have gone to sleep. But when I was at the airport, I couldn't sleep. So the whole night I chanted japa. When Guru Maharaj heard that, he smiled and said, anyway, that the ticket has taught you a lesson. Instead of spending so many hours sleeping, you can minimize your number of hours sleeping to chant. So that's what the ticket has taught you. Then he started telling me about attentiveness. He said, because you lost this ticket because you were inattentive. So you are inattentive. If you are not inattentive, how can you drop a whole ticket and you didn't notice it? Then he explained to me many things about inattentiveness and said, always be attentive. Anything you do, be attentive. Don't be inattentive. He said, in your japa, be attentive. In your dealing with devotees, be attentive. In your dealing with Guru, be attentive. In dealing with Krishna, be attentive. Everything you do, be attentive. And that is the way Krishna will favor you. So that instruction, I have taken it to heart. And I always try as much as possible to follow that instruction. I hope Sanika Prabhu is hearing the answer, even though he's no more on this platform. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I think he is still around.
I see.
Thank you very much, VANACARI. I'm so much grateful. I think Krishna will give us opportunity to delve a little more into this because your answer has given more rise to more questions. But I'll leave it because another person.
Yeah, okay. All right. We'll talk more about it later.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for sharing this pastime. This is the enviable position I have because somehow or other you took me under your wings, and I remember you told me this story, but you did not go as deeper as you did today. But you told me about the missing of the ticket. But I did not get to hear about the extensions, which is like the lessons of losing the inattentive part.
Yeah.
So much.
He used it to teach me a lot. Yeah.
It's so beautiful. In fact, I was talking to one senior devotee, and he was saying that, and I agreed with him that he believes one thing sometimes we do not do very much is that we speak from the scriptures beautifully, but we do not also share with people our own experiences to help people understand that it is not just written in the scriptures, but if you do this, you can experience this. So it's so beautiful sharing a little bit of these experiences, which is so inspiring. So thank you so much for sharing.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
I mean, it's been quite a long time. Yes. I don't know if anybody else has something else to ask. I think Govinda, I saw your hand up. Yes. Govinda Prabhu, you have something to say? And I see Chakra Prabhu also has a
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Govinda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, my obeisances to you.
Hare Krishna.
Again and again and again.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please, I would like you to clarify this doubt of mine today.
Okay.
You were just speaking about the unsuccessful yogi. Your answer to Bhakta Hassan's question.
Yeah.
And just like Krishna explains that these unsuccessful yogis, after exhausting their pious credit in a higher planet, then they come back here to the earth and take birth in the various conditions, various places. The question is about the exhaustion of the pious credit. You know, we are all here in these bodies because of a certain credit that we have, and that has promoted us to have this human form. Others have animal form, tree forms, and all that. And so when one credit is completely exhausted, just like you explained, that if you take your money out of the bank, you go bankrupt, zero. And so you have nothing there. So you cannot say that your credit is has been exhausted, and at the same time you get a chance to take birth in a high family like a Brahmin family, or take birth in a rich aristocratic family, and all that. If the credit is exhausted, then how can you take birth in such places? Or is it because there are many cars in this world that one can purchase, but those who have so much money, they can even buy airplanes. And those who cannot buy airplanes may buy a bicycle. So is this the remnants of our credit that we had from by taking us to the heavy planets? We exhaust the credit that will make us stay there, or having one body like them, or being in the same opulence like them, because our credit has reduced to that much. Is that what we come down here with and help us to take birth in such families? Because I kind of I'm kind of in doubt that if the credit is completely exhausted, then what do we depend on, or what give us that power, that kind of a room to take birth in such places if the credit is completely gone?
Well, Lord Krishna himself is talking about this issue in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when he mentioned that Suchinam Srimante Gehe Yoga Brasta Bijayate, that the unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. And in the purpose of Prabhupada said there are two classes of yogis or yoga practitioners. It says one is falling after a very little progress. And you can find it in the, I think 42 or 43. Text 41. Text 41. Krishna talks about the yogi, the unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets and the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. And the purport of Prabhupada writes, the unsuccessful yogis are divided into two classes. One is falling after a very little progress, and one is falling after a long practice of yoga. The yogi who falls after a short period of practice goes to the higher planets where pious and living entities are allowed to enter. After prolonged life there, one is sent back to this planet to take birth in a family of righteous Brahmana, Vaishnavas, or of aristocratic mentions. You can scroll up. And then he says, the real purpose of yoga practice is to achieve the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, as explained in the last verse of this chapter. But those who do not persevere to such an extent and who fail because of material allurements are allowed by the grace of the Lord to make full utilization of their material propensities. And after that, they are given opportunities to live prosperous lives in righteous or aristocratic families. Those who are born in such families may take advantage of the facilities and try to elevate themselves in full Krishna consciousness. So it means that even though they are not able to attain to the spiritual kingdom and they are elevated to the heavenly planets, but the long practice or the short practice creates a particular situation. Those who practice for a short while before falling off from the path of yoga, they take birth in aristocratic family where they enjoy unlimited opulence. But those opulences can be a source of diversion. They can cause one to give up his spiritual pursuit. So it is not considered a great advantage to take birth in a very wealthy family. But nevertheless, by practicing yoga for a short time, it gives you the credit and facility to take birth in a very wealthy family. So when we see children born in wealthy families, like the Bill Gates family, like the Steve's family, so many wealthy people's family, that we have to understand they are fallen yogis. They practice for a short time and they give up. And so the credit of that practice is taking birth in rich aristocratic families. But if one practices yoga for a long time, but somehow or the other he did not succeed, he falls off, he has enough credits that will allow him to take birth in a family of devotees, in a family of brahmanas, suchinam. Suchinam means people who are pure, people who are advanced. And when you take birth in such a family, then that is considered the best that Krishna talks about it in verse 42. It says, verse 42 says, or if unsuccessful after a long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in the family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Now that's the 42. Or if unsuccessful after a long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in the family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly such a birth is rare in this world. So, so those who practice for a long time before they either fall down or give up or whatever happened, they didn't succeed, they have created a credit, that serious credit that allows them to take birth in a transcendental family or in a family of transcendentalists, where from the very beginning of their life, they are introduced to spiritual life. So that means that even though they have gone to the heavens to enjoy their pious credits, but by the practice of yoga, they've already created a situation in which they are going to take their next birth. In other words, certain credits are devoted to their next life.
Okay.
Some amount of their credits are, yes, are given to their next life. So if you practice for a long time before you fall off, some amount of that credit will allow you to take birth in the family of transcendentalists. But if your practice was very brief, then you will be allowed, your credit will allow you to take birth in a rich aristocracy. But those who take birth in a transcendental family, they are better off because from the very onset, they will start hearing transcendental sounds. And so it'll be easy for them to pick up and make further advancement. But those who are in a wealthy family, if they don't take care, if they are not careful, they can be carried away by the family wealth and they may not take to Krishna consciousness and they will even go down. They will deviate more and more and more. So part of their credits is actually meant to create their next destination. And that next destination is either a transcendental family or aristocracy.
Wow. Thank you so much. So it's like opening a bank account. We have savings, and then we also have the regular account that we can. What's that?
Checking account.
Yeah, we have checking and savings.
Yeah.
So in other words, you're saying that there are certain activity that we perform that goes into our savings.
Yeah.
That we don't easily go there.
You know, you don't
for checking, it's a regular it's a regular usage account.
Yeah,
That is where we go to enjoy in the heavens.
Yeah,
and for savings, that is the transcendental service that we did. It's always kept for us to come and continue. All right. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. I think the last
Hare
question.
Krishna.
Yeah, last question, Hare Chakra Prabhu. But Prabhu, please, I just want to put this back on the screen. I think it's interesting what Srila Prabhupada says in the paper.
Okay.
But, that is text 42, 642.
Okay, the last part of the
purport, yes. So fortunately, both our spiritual master Om Vishnupad Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj and our humble self had the opportunity to take birth in such families. That's families of transcendentalists.
Yes.
By the grace of the Lord. And both of us were trained in the devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our lives. Later on, we met by the order of the transcendental system.
Amazing.
Very interesting and humbling.
Very interesting comment, Prabhupada.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
So Sri Chakra Prabhu, you are going to be the last person to ask speak for today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna, Hare Chakra Prabhu.
Thank you very much. All glories to you. All glories to Guru
All
Dev.
glories to Guru Maharaj. All glories to Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, it can be better than this. Well, I'm reflecting back to the story, the inspiration you got from the dream that you saw.
Okay.
And Guru Maharaj was telling you how we have to
study Prabhupada books.
Study Prabhupada books.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I get bewildered by certain situations of that nature, because I remember one of our god brothers, Butta Bhavana Prabhu, was one time giving a class. And in the class, he was relating a story about a very powerful Brahmin who was very like Paka. He was to the point. He never did anything wrong. Like everything was on point.
Okay.
And one day, this Brahmana almost overslept. Somebody woke him up, and he rushed and performed his duties like always. And later on, he saw that person and he asked that person, "Oh, who are you?" And the person said, "I'm Maya."
Serious.
And the Brahmana said, "What? If you are Maya, then why did you wake me?" And Maya said, "Because I have you in my grip. Because you do everything perfectly, you think you are so exalted. You think you are better than everybody. So that pride that you have, I have to keep fanning it.
That's right.
Otherwise I will lose you. And so if I had allowed you to sleep, you would have felt so morose that moroseness might have kicked in, and you might have come back to your senses to realize that after all, you are not that powerful.
Yeah.
So that is the reason why I wake you up. For you to remain in that. Yes. Similarly, we see, like when you were mentioning, you say, even if we are chanting, during you were mentioning things that inattentive chanting and everything, it doesn't even help us to make progress.
Yeah.
But even though we perform all these spiritual activities to enhance our progress, similarly, we learn Prabhupada books to get some sort of advancement.
Yeah.
So my question is, how do we actually realize that we are making progress, even if we deeply want to study Prabhupada books? Is it the knowledge we acquire that makes us see the advancement, or what actually will prove that we are actually making some advancement?
Thank you. This is the question that would close the class, but it's also a very, very deep question. Very deep. It's a very deep question. Knowledge is important because it is, Chanakya Pandit says that just as medicine is a friend to the sick, knowledge is a friend to one who is on the path or one who is on a journey. So knowledge has its relevance when it's properly applied. Knowledge is meant to guide us. Knowledge is meant to give us direction, where to go and how to behave, how to do things. So if actually we are acquiring transcendental knowledge, it should not just be book knowledge. It should not just be paper knowledge. It has to reflect in our lives. You see, there are two levels of knowledge, Gyan and Vigyan. The Gyan is just accumulating all the scriptural injunctions, slokas, whatever. That is Gyan. But that is no knowledge. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes that as a load. It says that kind of knowledge makes us an ass. We carry a big load, thinking that we have excelled. We are better than others. But actually, we are under the grip of Maya, just as you told the story. But this knowledge also, if we properly cultivate it, we will begin to have some experiences. We begin to apply that knowledge in our dealings, apply that knowledge in our activities, apply that knowledge in our day-to-day living. And gradually, we would begin to see the difference between knowledge and realized knowledge, Gyan and Vigyan. Vigyan is recommended, but you cannot get to Vigyan without Gyan. But one should not think that Gyan is the ultimate. If we think Gyan is the ultimate, then we'll come under the grip of Maya. If we think by having so much knowledge, I remember in the early days of Krishna consciousness, when I was once the temple president for Ibadan. Actually, that was the first temple I headed in Nigeria. There was one devotee. His name is Julian Yatra. This devotee, I always admired him. He has such photographic memory. I've never come across anybody with that kind of memory. That was 84, 85. That time, we didn't take the stereo Srila Prabhupada's books very seriously. But this boy, this devotee, he has such a memory that he could quote almost all the verses of Brahma Samhita at that time. He could quote many verses from Bhagavad Gita at that time. Anytime he would give class, he would quote so many verses. I didn't even know one verse at that time, even though I was the temple president. But he was serving under me. So everybody loved his classes because he could quote a lot of verses. But he was very proud. Because he had all this knowledge and because people were glorifying him, he thought he was on top of everybody. What happened? At some point, he gave up devotional service. He gave up. Today, he's still relating to devotees, but he's not in full practice. He went back to school, graduated as a sanitary, a graduate in sanitary inspection. He became a big guy in Port Harcourt somewhere. I've not met him since, but I've heard about him. And I wonder, I said, this devotee, he was so gifted with such knowledge. At the time when we were still struggling to learn one or two verses in Bhagavad Gita, he knew the whole Brahma Samhita. He knew so much from Bhagavad Gita. And anytime he gave class, you just worship him mentally. But he was not seeing himself as a servant of the devotees. He was not seeing himself as a medium through which that knowledge could go to others. He was thinking he's great. He was bloated. His ego was bloated. And so at some point, with all that knowledge, he gave up the practice of Krishna consciousness. So that is Gyan. If he had come to the level of Vigyan, he would have done better. So there are two levels. First, we accumulate the Gyan, but the Gyan should be translated into Vigyan. If we just remain on the Gyan level, we are captives of Maya. Maya will use us, even though we have the scripture knowledge. Scripture knowledge alone doesn't make you a devotee. Srila Prabhupada says even Ravana was a scholar of Vedic knowledge. Even Hiranyakashipu, when Hiranyaksha was killed by Varahadev, Hiranyakashipu preached to his family members. He gave pure spiritual knowledge. But that is theoretical because they will speak the knowledge and they will act otherwise. So therefore, if we just accumulate knowledge, we study all the scriptures, and it doesn't reflect in our lives, then it's just theory. And that theory, we still remain servants of Maya. It becomes a burden on our backs. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, it becomes a burden. We're carrying such a huge burden. We become an ass, thinking that we have made progress, but actually we have not gone anywhere. We're just carrying big load. So that knowledge must be translated into realization. It must be translated into Vigyan. Then we will reflect and exemplify the knowledge. We will become more submissive, more humble, more introspective. We will become more loving. We will become such sublime personalities. That is the result of Vigyan. So if we say we have the knowledge and these things are not found in our lives, then it means we are under the grip of Maya, even though we think we have all the knowledge. When Krishna spoke about the transcendentalists in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Stadimuni, I think verse 50 something, Krishna talking about a person who has attained transcendence. So Arjuna was asking him, how does he walk? How does he talk? How does he sit? Arjuna was asking all these questions. If you are a transcendentalist, your actions should show. I hope I've tried to answer your question.
Yeah, Prabhu, yeah, you have answered it. Thank you very much. Because practically speaking, it's like the story of Lord Chaitanya when he saw that devotee who was reading Bhagavad Gita upside down.
That's right.
Even though he couldn't read anything. And a practical example that I've seen with my own eyes is here in Gita Nagri. Our God brother Bali Maharaj. Bali, yes, he can hardly even quote a Sanskrit verse.
That's right.
But
that was an example.
If you sit down with Bali and Bali, a topic comes up, and Bali start explaining the topic, oh my God, you will see that this is a pure devotee.
That's right.
And Guru Maharaj also used to say, sometimes he will be laughing at Bali. Anytime you see Bali driving up, you say, oh, here comes Bali. He's either coming to fix something or to break something. But at the same time, Guru Maharaj said, Bali is going to take all of us back home, back to Godhead.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
In all my stay in Gita Nagri, I never for one day saw Bali angry with any devotee.
He's a jolly guy, jolly devotee.
Oh, my goodness. And sometimes I look at Bali and I said, so Krishna, how come that sometimes we get so proud with the little thing that we know when we are able to quote little Sanskrit and this thing? But look at this guy. Bali will be suffering like anything, and Bali say, oh, this is Guru's mercy. I mean, it's not that he's just saying it like a lot of devotees says it.
He's realizing it.
He has realized it, what he's saying. So thank you for the class. And
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Actually, this is a very important. It's a very important question you asked. one should never think that he has so much knowledge. One should never be proud of whatever you have. Whatever Krishna has given us, whatever Guru has given us, we should just use it in his service. We should be faithful. Like Guru Krishna, you've done very well by giving me this facility. Let me use it in your service. Let me use it in the devotee service. And that is the mood. Then realization will come more and more and more. But if we think I'm better than this devotee, I can quote so many verses, I know the whole scriptures, and we start thinking like this, then we are under the grip of Maya. Maya will encourage us more, read more, learn more, but we will miss the point. So thank you. It's a very important lesson. It's an important question. And I think it is a question. The answer is also relevant to me in person. I appreciate your question because it gives a signal. It gives a warning that even though we are studying the scriptures, but we should never claim ownership of it. Even though we are studying the scriptures, but we should never get proud of it. Even though we are studying the scriptures, we should try to be humble so that we can become a via medium through which this knowledge can spread. Because as soon as we become proud, then we block that medium, we block that chance. So thank you for your question. And I think on this note, we will end here. We spent 3 hours plus.
Yes. Thank you so much. Our revered speaker, His Grace Srivas VANACARI, and all the wonderful, beautiful questions. That is one unique thing about Hare Krishna Africa. We are not fed with milk. We are fed with solid food, as said by Apostle Paul in the Bible. So we deal with the difficult and serious subject matters of the Supreme Lord. With that being said, we're going to humbly request all the devotees. We can't thank you enough for staying here for all these minutes into hours. We very much appreciate you. And in fact, Mother Sunita had said something in the chat room earlier, which I think it's worth mentioning. Mother Sunita was offering her deepest appreciation to you, Prabhuji, and praying that Sri Guru and Krishna keep you here much longer for the benefit of the Vaishnava devotees. So may Lord Shri Krishna kindly answer Mother Sunita's request because we all need it. With that being said,
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Mother Sunita. Thank you for your prayers. It's the prayers of the Vaishnava that are keeping us alive. So we need more of those prayers. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Samata. Thank you.
With that being said, we humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute and we all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to express our greatest gratitude and appreciation for our revered speaker, His Grace Srivas VANACARI Jai. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama
all glories to
Jai. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.